Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been since the beginning of April since we put out a video. So we thought it was time to do a bit of an update and just show what's happened. Actually, a lot has happened in the last 3 weeks, I would say. 4 weeks. We got all the ewes weaned that were in here from our February-March lambing. And as you can see, we've got a whole bunch more. So that means we pretty much did our entire lambing for the next group in the last 3 weeks. So there's corn, expeller meal, which is like soy meal, and mineral. That's what this diet consists of. It's a 14%. The mill, this mixer here was calibrated by my feed nutritionist from Grand Valley Fortifiers in Cambridge, Ontario. So this is what we feed to our finishing lambs. So we're gonna go bring this over to the driving shed where I've got a bunch of, I think 80 lambs there. And we're gonna plop this in the pen there, and that'll do them for probably about 5 days. So I think this feeder here holds about 550 pounds. That's what it says on it. I don't know how accurate that is, but I like this feeder because I can kind of just drive it over there, put it in the pen, and they're kind of fed for 5 days. Seeing as I don't have feed storage by the driving shed at this point, and it's kind of just a temporary storage area for our sheep that aren't fitting in the barn here right now. So we're gonna go bring this over to the driving shed, and then I can also show you how those lambs are doing. So those would be the oldest lambs from this year that were born end of January all the way to the end of February, beginning of March. Probably those ones would probably be up until the middle of February. So anyway, let's head over there. So here we are at the driving shed. And the lambs actually did really well in here so far. I think they're getting, some of them are probably getting close to 90, 100 pounds. And we'll probably be shipping some out in the next week or two after we've pulled out our ram lambs that we want to keep for breeding stock. And of course, well, we won't sell any females at this point until we've also selected those for breeding purposes. So anyway, what we do is we take that feeder and we just drop it over the side here right into the pen, and it works really quite well. If you remember that we use this for ewe storage back in the winter time, so we kind of made this makeshift fence along here. Don't use wood snow fence for lambs. They like to force their heads through the slats there, and especially if there's straw on the other side that they want to nibble on, and they will destroy it, put lots of holes in it, which is why you see all this patchwork here. So anyway, once they're done in here, then we're gonna take that all out, and if we do put them back in here, we got to do a better job of that. But for now, these guys are looking great. We're really happy with the growth rates we've had out of these ewe lambs, and realistically speaking, it's kind of the best time of the year to raise lambs. I mean, it's not hot, it's not cold, it's kind of just that in-between weather, and they tend to grow really fast in that kind of weather. And so yeah, extremely curious, pretty friendly. Will nibble the pants off you if you're not careful, especially if you, so we come in here usually twice a day, check the feeder, just check on them a bit, and yeah, they get familiar with you, and eventually they like to nibble on your clothes. At any rate, we're going to put the feeder in here and let them eat. There we go. Always a bit tricky getting the forks out of there. Can hardly reach over far enough, so we've been getting busy getting the equipment out. We've got the baler out, the seed drill out, cultivator out, and just working on getting some of the equipment ready. Spring has been quite slow this year. We've been getting a lot of rain, and so we've got these girls there on pasture, and they're just kind of being just kept in one spot here for now. We've been feeding them hay, and as you can see, the pasture was getting kind of mucky, and we just keep on getting rain. We get like a day or two of kind of sunshine and cool weather, and then we kind of get another ½ inch of rain, and it looks like tonight we're going to get another 3/4 to an inch. So it just keeps on going. So maybe this is going to be one of those wet springs, but yeah, either way, we've been working on getting the equipment ready to go, and we're also at the point where we're starting to ship pigs again, and we'll be shipping lambs, and we've just finished lambing. So kind of quite a few things going on. We're not like going crazy busy, but yeah, things are moving along, and it'll be nice to see some dry weather again, and a little warmer weather, but it's a little slow in coming this year. Anyways, I'll go back in the sheep barn and kind of just show and explain kind of what's been happening the last few weeks. So this past lambing, we've had sort of 3 different lambing groups, all sired by different rams, and all different age groups. So we just had a small group here of about 30 mature ewes. So they're from my original flock that I purchased back in 2015. So they're about getting close to 7 years old probably. So they're definitely, yeah, they're my original core flock, and we still had great results from them, though they're getting up there in age. And we still have just 2 or 3 left in here to lamb. I think that one there is actually in the early stages of labor. And they performed quite well. Lots of triplets, and they're feeding triplets, so they're doing good. Obviously not all of them, but lots of nice healthy lambs there. And then on this side here, we've got 2-year-olds. This is their second time lambing. Phenomenal numbers from these. Triplets and quads was the norm, with the odd set of twins in there. And again, we've tried to keep on as many triplets as we could. And so yeah, these younger animals performed super good so far. Yeah, we're just about past the stage where we have to really watch them like a hawk, that, you know, a lamb or two isn't getting behind and not getting enough milk from its mother. We're pretty much past that point, and any that have been like that have been pulled off and put on the milk machine. So these ones here would have lambed in the last 5 days, and they're from the same group as that one there. It's just that group was getting a little too big, so we've added a second pen here on this same lambing group. And then there's still a few that have to lamb in that one. And then down on this end of the barn were our first time ewe lambs that we kept back to expand and replace some of our older stuff. So there was a group of about 50 in here. And believe it or not, I think their drop rate was almost as high as our other ewes. The only difference being, of course, that their milk production isn't quite where the other ones are, so we only kept twins on these. So not as many lambs per ewe in this pen, but they performed incredibly well. We were super happy with how many lambs they dropped, and even just their mothering ability, it was not hard to lamb out these first timers, so we were very happy with that, and had actually really quite few problems with these. So yeah, that's kind of what we're aiming for. Easy care sheep, no extra management, that sort of thing. So we still have all of these to lamb from this group yet, and as you can see by how much they've bagged up in their udders here, they're quite a ways off yet. So for some reason, some of these didn't catch as early as the rest. We did have one of them, which is that ewe right down there laying down, who did get pregnancy toxemia about a month ago. She's totally back on her feet. We'll probably end up shipping her. She had a really tough time passing her lambs, which did not survive. We actually induced her in order to save her life. Her lambs didn't survive, but she had 4 in her, 4 quads. So we're not surprised in a certain sense that she had that problem. Having said that, we did have one that had quints, 5 lambs, and they all survived. We just kept 2 on her, and the other 3 ended up going to the milk machine. But it just goes to show these Rito Arcots are incredible sheep. They produce huge amounts of lamb, also really good mothers and really good milkers. So those are the reasons that we have chosen this breed, as so many have in Ontario here, or so many have in Canada really, is they're just such a high producing breed of sheep, and at today's prices I think they can be quite profitable. So something to consider if you're into sheep and you're in it to make money. So obviously that's just my opinion, and people raise different breeds of sheep for different reasons. Of course we got to bear all those things in mind. So this group of lambs over here, these were born in mid-February to the end of March. They're from the same breed lambing group as the ones you saw in the drive-in shed, except these would be a little bit younger and also doing really well. So on this side of the gate right here and this way, we've separated all the ram lambs, so they've all got blue marks on them, so that if they do get mixed up with this group, which is all the ewe lambs, we'll at least be able to sort them easily without it being a big hassle. So anyway, these are all the ewe lambs. It was quite remarkable to see this past weekend when we were weighing them all and sorting them all. We vaccinated all these ewe lambs, but while we were doing that, it was quite fascinating to see that the ram lambs grew so much faster and are bigger than all the ewe lambs. And I know that's typically the case. A ram lamb will typically grow slightly faster than the ewe lambs, but it was a pretty dramatic difference. And I don't know exactly why that was, but it was very interesting to see. So this group here is all the ewe lambs that we got from that lambing group. And we had more ram lambs than we did ewe lambs. I think we've got about 95 ram lambs, and we've got about 80 ewe lambs. So not bad, not a bad split. I would have preferred it, of course, higher on the ewe lamb side, but these aren't things we have control of. So anyway, another new development we've had on the farm. Well, I wouldn't say development, but we purchased another 3 rams. These ones came actually from Quebec. We're super pleased with how they look. So we've got red, yellow, and green there. And pretty confident in what these guys will be able to do in terms of improving our flock here. What we like about them so far, just off the cuff, is as you can see, they're very tame. Well, tame. They're not skittish, and that's what we really like in sheep. As you can see, they kind of come up to me and No, we don't want them super friendly that they follow you around the pen, and you always got to watch your back that they're not going to give you a headbutt or something like that. Never turn your back on a ram, they say. But it is nice when they're not super skittish, and that's kind of one of the things we aim for. These ones have also been professionally conformation scored, which means they're very as true to the breed as possible. Yeah, among of course their Genovis reports, which talks a lot about, which kind of shows, I guess, their genetic potential, and these guys scored really well there. So between all these things, hopefully they'll do great improvements in our flock here, and we're excited to put them to use, which we're hoping to do. They're actually going to go out to pasture to breed the ones that are out on pasture, and hopefully we can get some fall lambs this year. So that's kind of the plan. So that's kind of the rundown of what's happening in the barn here. It's been a busy 3 weeks because we lambed out 100 ewes so far of the 140 in this group. And so we kind of got just a few in each group that seem to have gotten bred later on rather than the rest. And I don't know if that's because they lost the fetus early and for some reason, and then got rebred, or they just bred a little bit later. I'm not sure. But it was a really nice lambing for various reasons, and it was nice to lamb not when it wasn't -10, -5, like those freezing temperatures. I don't have a climate controlled barn here really, so it was really nice to lamb in April instead of February. And we had very low stillborn compared to our February group, our end of January, February group. Hard to know exactly why that is, and I think some of it, if you're a sheep farmer, you will know or have heard of Cache Valley, and I'm wondering if that just has a little bit of an impact every year on those early year born, like early in the year. Cache Valley is a mosquito-borne, I guess, abortion disease, which if they get bitten by a mosquito in the breeding period, or especially certain stages of the breeding period, it can affect the fetus and kind of cause problems, whether it be stillborns, whether it be deformed lambs, all that sort of thing. So sometimes we see a little bit of that, I think, in the early January, February lambings. So it was nice to do this April lambing where we saw none of that. We did send lambs away when we had stillborns in January, February. It was encouraging to see that we had nothing, no known abortion diseases. That didn't come back as positive for any, which is what we're always kind of is a big one for us, selling breeding stock and all that sort of thing. We want to know that that's not happening here. So we don't have to vaccinate for any of that stuff in our flock, abortion diseases and that sort of thing. Of course, we do the normal one, the gland vac, which covers just your typical sheep issues that sheep are susceptible to, and which is kind of commonly accepted throughout the sheep industry. So far so good. Lots of bottle machine lambs here, peacefully sleeping right now. We tried to give them a bit of a bigger area, pen area this time, which has been good for them, I think. So these would be the older ones, and these ones here are the younger ones. Some of these would have just been put in here a few days ago. So they're definitely learned how to drink, but still haven't filled out super nice like these ones, of course. So I think we have about 40 to 45 on the milk machine this time, and of course that's due to the fact that we had high numbers of quads and triplets. So when it's mealtime, I guess they all think it's mealtime at the same time. There's only 2 nipples, which is enough because the milk's available 24/7, but they all think they need to drink at the same time, so they'll fight for it. I don't know what that is, but I guess when one gets the idea in their head, then they all get the idea in their head that they need to drink and eat right then and there. of the lamb piles. So as you can see, as you go through these groups, I put different color paint or different symbol of paint, so either a dot or a line or something like that, just so I know which one belongs in which pen, because sometimes they do. The odd one does get out down the aisle and then they go back into the wrong pen, such as this guy right here. So we'll grab this one here. Come here, buddy. There we go. So these would have pink dots. These have green stripes. Oh, Blackie. If you're not new to the channel, then you know Blackie. Always the friendly one that has to come up and say hello. Eh? Likes a good back scratch. She had 2 really big solid lambs this year. Maybe this is one of them. Hmm? And neither of them was black. It's all about the genetics, eh? So from what I've learned, the only way you get black sheep in the Rideau is if both the ram and the ewe are carrying the color gene. So I guess some of the rams, if I look at this group here, which was bred by Albert, so one of the rams, he doesn't throw any color. So he must not have the color gene. And then when we get into the group over here, into the ewe lambs actually, the first timers, they were bred by Bruno. And he tends to throw lots of color. So he must have color in his gene pool that causes a bunch of colored lambs. And then especially if you got a bit of color in your ewes, you tend to get a bunch of color. So this group will have quite a diversity of size. Some were just added about, I don't know, I think on, 2 days ago. And some were already 2.5 weeks old, so it's not ideal, but just because this group isn't really big, we didn't want to start another small group of 5 ewes or something like that, so that's why you see some that are just that size and you see some that are more that size. It's not ideal because sometimes those really big lambs will actually go in and suck all the milk from those ewes that have just been put in with those small lambs, where those small lambs aren't as competitive, and I haven't seen much of that happening. I also left the ewes with the lambs in those lambing pens a little bit longer this time, which helps solidify that bonding period between the mom and the lamb. So So one of the other challenges that's we're all encountering as farmers right now is the extremely high prices of commodities, such as this gold right here. So this gold is also known as corn, but it's kind of incredibly expensive right now. Just to give you a bit of context for those who aren't into this, into farming for yourselves, there was a time when we were paying $150 a ton for corn, and right now we're paying close to $400 a ton for corn. So we're up almost 300% from what it was, you know, I would say even just, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I would say even just in the last 2 years, the price has doubled. So it used to be high to pay anything over 200 bucks, and now we're talking almost 400 bucks. And corn being one of the main ingredients we use in the diet, you could substitute that with something else, I'm sure, but corn is probably one of the best ingredients we can use for their growth. So, and also the substitutes also are quite expensive, so it's kind of hard to know, you know, what to do instead. Thankfully, the price for lamb right now is also really good, which helps to offset that. Because if they weren't going in tandem together in that same direction, both going up in price, then we'd be in trouble. So that is something we're definitely dealing with. High feed prices. A lot of farmers are dealing with high fertilizer prices. You name it, all the inputs have gone up dramatically, and so it's going to be an interesting year. And of course, we know this is the case for many people in many industries. But just saying, for us, it's definitely not much different. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. As you know, you can always ask questions, give suggestions, you name it. We're open for that. And thanks for watching, and hopefully it won't be 4 weeks before we do another one. Thanks a lot. See ya.